questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And like I said, we're going to do 1 minute increments, for pros and cons, for and against. And if we could just be respectful of each other's time, because there's a lot of people in here. And like I say, we've got other subcommittees to get to. So this is a half-an-hour meeting only. So with that, I would start with whoever would like to go first, and then we'll go back and forth. Thank you. Who would like to go first? You would like to go? Okay, perfect.
Thank you. My name is Clara Reinen. I live in Iowa City, Iowa. I'm a grad student. I graduated from Burlington Community High School. I was valedictorian. I had the opportunity to shake Kim Reynolds' hand at an event for high achieving high school students. I got my undergrad degree from the University of Iowa in religious studies and theater arts, and I am here to speak in strong opposition of this bill. I think that this bill is completely unconstitutional, and worse than that, it's un-American. When I married my spouse in 2021, she was not out as a transgender woman yet. When she came out a month later, my life changed permanently for the better. Anybody who knows a trans person has a privilege in knowing them. My transgender friends and family deserve to live in peace. My wife being forced to have a different kind of identification than me is completely unthinkable. She is a better woman than I will ever be. She's more of a woman than I will ever be. And to think that she should be treated differently because she's transgender is unconscionable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have 3.
Yeah, is there someone that like to speak for?
Hi, my name is Patty Alexander, and I'm here as a concerned citizen and a concerned woman. I support this bill. It's unfortunate that we must legislate reality, but this is where we are today. This bill protects the public protects the public from irrational and radical behaviors that are harmful to society. It is obvious that biological sex is not a choice and cannot be changed. We can change our appearances, but we can't change our DNA. Please protect us from the immoral will of others. Please pass this bill and protect the rational and reality.
Thank you. Is there the next person and against? If we can kind of get lined up, because we are short on time, if people kind of can be in an order, that would be great.
Hi, my name is Pete McRoberts. I'm with the ACLU of Iowa. We oppose this bill on account of the Iowa Constitution's Bill of Rights. Because there's so much here, I'm going to focus on what begins on page 3, line 25, and specifically the driver's license. Now, if this proposal becomes law, then anyone who ever had in one time in the history a sex reassignment surgery or any gender treatment would be required to place that on their driver's license. This is what you have to show if you pick up groceries. This is what you show if you get pulled over. That personal information is there for one reason, to establish identity. The idea that a government-issued driver's license would require somebody to display the most personal medical history is unconscionable, and this legislature has acted to prevent this very thing. For example, the governor of Iowa couldn't require driver's licenses to show a COVID vaccine or any other such personal medical information. So there's lots to dislike here, and we oppose every word of it. But I would encourage you to please think about those privacy implications. That is something that any Democrat, any Republican could agree on. Privacy belongs to every Iowan, and medical history belongs to them as well. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Denise Bubeck of the Church Ambassador Network, and I am in support of this bill. And I'm so thankful that Governor Reynolds is bringing this common sense piece of legislation forward. As a grandma of a beautiful granddaughter, I want her to grow up in a world where she is clearly defined as a female based on her biological sex, protected by that right. Common sex-based words such as female, male, man, woman are used thousands of times throughout state and federal law. But recently, many have sought to redefine these words and separate sex from biology. Thankfully, we have a governor and legislators who want to stand up for women and clearly define the term. I'm in hope that this bill will help us move in the right direction because without it, we are losing single-sex spaces and resources, including locker rooms, athletics, and even prisons and domestic violence shelters. And these things are happening without the benefit of debate and transparency. This will impact generations to come, and today I'm standing in support of this very important bill. Thank you, Representative Bowden, Hora, and Steckman for bringing this bill forward, and I ask you to pass it out of subcommittee.
Thank you.
I'm Connie Ryan. I'm the Executive Director of Interfaith Alliance of Iowa, and we are strongly opposed to the legislation. There are multiple concerns littered throughout the bill, and I'd like to focus on one part. The language in House Study Bill 649 includes the term equal, does not mean same or identical. Separate accommodations are not inherently unequal. In 1890, the Louisiana legislature passed the Louisiana Separate Car Act, applicable to in-state travel, that required that all railroads operating in the state provide equal but separate accommodations for white and black passengers. That resulted in Plessy v. Ferguson decision in 1896, establishing the separate but equal doctrine. And here we are repeating, not learning from history. Separate but equal is never equal. I know that sometimes a law is passed with the hopes of ending up in the court to set precedent. I hope that you would not want Iowa to go down in history as a state that stands on the side of separate but equal. Please stand on the side of history that always understands that separate is never equal, and equal under the law always matters. Thank you.
Hello,
Thank you.
my name is Emma Denny. I am a composer, a PhD candidate at the University of Iowa, and a member of COGS UE Local 896, though today I'm speaking on my own behalf, and I'm a proud transgender woman. I urge you to vote no on this bill and let this bill fall here. My community is terrified of the consequences this bill will have for our lives. Trans people already face overwhelming employment and housing discrimination in Iowa under existing law, and the governor's bill would force us to out ourselves and open ourselves up to more violence anytime we have to show an identification. I would like to remind you of other history. In the Holocaust, the Nazis made gay people like me wear pink triangles to designate us. And you are trying to do the same thing again here in Iowa by forcing trans people to have unique designations on our identifications. This is untenable, and we in Iowa will not stand for it. I urge you to vote no for the safety of all Iowans and for the safety of any trans person in this country. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and do two positives then, or two pros, because well, no, you will get a mic.
Excuse me. Okay, my name is Shelley Flockart. I'm here as a woman, and we have fought for rights on several different issues as women and to be able to have a voice. Just even today with the experience of when we're trying to speak as a woman, this is what's happening. So here we are back to day one that happened years ago. But defining a man or woman, women and men are not identical. They possess unique biological differences, health and safety, privacy. This protects health and safety. 20 years ago, I was a victim of domestic abuse. I want to protect women to be able to have the groups and the resources that they need so that they have a safe space. If I were to would have been put in a situation where it was men and women in the same group, I don't know if I would have come out of that. So I ask that you do move forward with this bill.
Thank you. And we'll do one more for, if there's someone else to hear for. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Courtney Collier. I'm here in support of this bill. The most supreme being in the universe, Almighty and sovereign God, created each of us in this room today. He did so with order and with purpose. He created us male and female. The author of confusion, deception, and death, Satan the devil, deceives people into believing lies about who they are. Isaiah 5 warns us not to put darkness for light. This legislation is truth. It's based on common sense and basic biology. Up is not down, down is not up, right is not left, and left is not right. 1 + 1 still equals 2. People can choose to live in their delusions and confusions in their own lives and homes, yes, but the rest of us should not be forced to join them. I am a woman, an adult female human. I am also a mother. I have ovaries and a uterus that for 9 months developed 3 humans and birthed them out of my vagina after laboring for hours. No man, a person with a penis or testicles who changes their pronouns name or takes hormone blockers and puts on makeup and women's clothing can do that. Pass the bill.
Thank you. Go ahead.
My name is Danielle Crawford of Iowa City. It is patently clear at this point that you don't care neither about reason nor about the harm you are doing. So instead of, I will tell you what I see from my perspective as a 53-year-old trans woman and resident of Iowa. I see a small group of so-called conservative politicians wasting time persecuting one of the most abused, trafficked, and misunderstood populations on the planet, trans people. That same group sees this as a threat to their children and the good of society when in fact it is well documented by LGBTQ organizations, national and international medical establishments, and even law enforcement that trans people, especially trans women of color, are at much higher risk of assault and murder than the average human. I am a manager on a space science project that has brought the largest amount of federal money to the University of Iowa ever, over $130 million. I've been part of that effort since day one, and your actions will force me to leave that behind and leave the state. I will not live under a fascist state. Your actions are misguided and monstrous. Live shamed.
Good afternoon, representatives. My name is Dan Breitbarth. I'm with Attorney General Brenna Bird. Thank you very much for holding this subcommittee. The Attorney General is in support of this piece of legislation. She believes it's important clarification of state law on the definitions of both male and female. In addition, the Attorney General believes that this legislation makes important findings regarding the protection of people's privacy, health, and safety. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Stephanie Munsterman. I'm the mother of a non-binary 18-year-old. They turned 18 last week. I also serve as the executive director of the Cedar Rapids Civil Rights Commission. And I also want to speak to you as an adjunct professor in an MBA program. I teach current and future business students. If we want to look at the impacts of these kind of bills, I have business leaders across the state of Iowa telling me they are having an exceedingly hard time finding employees to work. People are leaving the state. People are afraid to come here to be, so we're losing our competitive advantage. We all know that the retention has been a problematic issue. Wells Fargo in their own report is saying that the LGBT community is one of the best spending powers we're going to see in the future. We've also seen from Wells Fargo another report showing the amounts of revenue created by organizations who have LGBT within their communities. We also know that increase in diversity also increases our competitive advantage, our ability to be innovative, and our ability to be productive, thus have a higher competitive advantage. I do want to encourage you to vote no on this as a mom. I'm the mom of a mama bear. I'm a mama bear, and they are very uncomfortable staying here in Iowa, and they might leave. You don't want them to leave, and you don't want other youth to leave. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Amber Williams, and I support this bill. This bill is needed because we must protect the truth of two genders, more so protect biological women. I am a woman. I was born with 2 X chromosomes. I menstruate once a month. I grew a human life in my body twice. I gave birth twice. I breastfed both of those 2 humans. I am not a birthing person. I am a mother. Someday I will go through menopause. These are all things a biological man will never do. I am a woman, I am a mother, and I am also a former female athlete. Biological female athletes need to be protected. 28 national female sports titles were won by biological men between 2003 and 2022, and the trend continues to accelerate. These titles don't include the multiple second, third, and other finishing spots in women's events awarded to biological males that would have otherwise been won by biological females. In 2022, a biological man was nominated for NCAA Woman of the Year. In 2023, a biological man received the International Woman of Courage Award. And also last year, a biological man was named Miss Universe. Women are being forced to give up their rights to share bathrooms and locker rooms with biological males with no disregard for their safety or privacy. I say it again, biological females need to be protected because from my examples, I ask, is there an ongoing effort right now to replace women? Thank you for this common sense bill, and I ask that you would move it forward.
Good afternoon. My name is Eli Cade. I am a United States Marine Corps veteran. I am also a transgender man and a lead on the Blazing Saddle security team. This bill put forth is in response of great failure of last week's anti-trans legislation. This bill will do nothing but bring harm to an already marginalized community and put the lives of transgender Iowans in danger. You claim in the bill that you are doing this to protect women and their rights. However, this bill protects nobody. If you actually cared about women's rights, this state would not cut funding for children. This state would not have made abortion illegal, and this state would take care of issues instead of using trans people as a political ploy to keep the hatred alive and just so somebody can get votes. If you are a party of small government, then be a party of small government and stay out of people's lives. It is incredibly predatory, discriminatory, and unconstitutional to require someone's medical records for a gender marker. Do you know that Iowa already requires letters from doctors to prove your sex on an ID if you are a trans person? Governor Reynolds is making up issues that don't actually exist to discriminate against a very tiny group of people. Trans women are not in your domestic violence shelters there to cause issues. You are once again targeting a group of people who simply wish to exist without fear of murder, without fear of violence, and without fear of anything going against them just so they can live their lives. I swore an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We will not go quietly. We will not go in fear. We will not allow you to force us to hide. We will be loud. We will be proud. And honestly, if you want to put a mark on us, put a pink triangle again, because some of you failed your 7th grade history class.
Thank you. Representative Steckman, are you wanting time for comments at the end, or do you want me to continue on?
Yeah, I think I need a little bit of time. but
Okay, I'll leave like 5 minutes at the end.
Fine.
Okay,
this
all right.
first
And
report-
Chuck Hurley, family leader, thanks for bringing the bill. Molly, please tell the governor thanks for bringing the bill. The governor did not pick this fight. This came to her. She's trying to bring back common sense. This argument that this is going to hurt us financially was used for 12 years on the RFRA bill. States that have the Religious Freedom Restoration Act have the best economies in the country. So don't buy into that false argument. That's a threat. That's a threat from bullies that we've heard for 12 years, and it's simply not true. And I just want to urge you in closing, don't let the mob rule. Do what's right for these citizens of Iowa. The ladies talked here about having trouble with the women's sports. We've handled that, but this continues, and we need to go ahead and clarify this throughout our code. So thanks for bringing the bill. Don't kowtow to the mob.
Chairman, I'm Heather Schott. I'm a parent, I'm a female, and I'm a proud parent in this state. I've been blessed with being a parent 3 times, and I have not given birth to any of my kids. I bet many of you experienced birth as I did with one of my children, and you remember how your heart was filled when you looked into your child's eyes. I sure did. It took me 6 months and a bunch of legal hoops to get my name on that birth certificate, but I'm proud it's there, and I want you to know this impacts me, right? I also remember being able to work with my kids and help them understand I was going to be there forever. My story's not perfect, and when we separated, even though my name was on their birth certificate, we went to determine custody. The courts believed, through pressures, and in layman's terms, they questioned the validity of my adoptions. Neither parent in this fight was fighting to take me off of the birth certificate, but the courts felt the pressure, and we went up through the appellate courts to the Iowa Supreme Court. The good news is the adoptions were upheld through the Supreme Court, right? But the pain and the damage that my kids experienced, really experiences, these kids going through this, was real. I'm a strong and confident person, and I was strong and confident with my kids to help them understand that regardless of that legal outcome of that day, that I was their parent. I was the one waking up to comfort them through the night terrors, through these real pains and struggles they were experiencing, the hell that followed as they heard this legal process being questioned. This legal process should protect our kids. Adoption should protect our kids. I should be a parent on my kids' birth certificates. We as parents should stand together.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, would you like to go?
I would love to. Thank you. My name is Kent Zimmerman. I'm here today as a proud single gay father of my 3-month-old son, Braden. However, I find myself deeply concerned about the potential implications of Iowa House Bill 649. Sorry. Defining sex strictly as male and female, father or mother, holds significant effects on my family and all of Iowa's LGBTQ+ community. This bill contributes to the erasure of LGBTQ+ individuals and families who don't fit in within the binary understanding of sex and gender. It affects the legal recognition of LGBTQ+ individuals and families, particularly in areas such as healthcare, marriage, education, and parental rights. It actively perpetuates discrimination and intolerance, leading to negative social attitudes, prejudice, and violence. This bill overlooks the complexities and dynamics that are the very core of the LGBTQ+ family. Like many other bills that have been voted in this building, HSB 649 undermines the principles of equality and inclusivity that we should strive to uphold, not erase. We are better than this. My son deserves better than this, and our children demand better than this. I ask you to consider the impact this legislation could have and affirm your commitment to a society that values love, acceptance, and equal rights for every family, regardless of their constitution or sexual orientation. Affirm your commitment to a state that celebrates and supports all families. Please reject House Bill 649. Thank you.
Thank you. Can,
Hey, everybody. Jeff Pitts with Iowa Faith and Freedom. Thank you for bringing this important bill. People can dress how they want, of course. People can protest peacefully as they want, of course. People can act in accordance with the law, of course. You know, that's their right. What's not okay to us is to arbitrarily change the meaning of well-known meaning of words in the language and call us bullies for insisting that what's always been true is true. Please pass this common sense bill. We appreciate your efforts. Protect the language.
thank you. I appreciate everyone that came for comments today. I want to save a little bit of time for Representative Steckman and Representative Bowden to ask any questions or have any comments that they would like, but I do appreciate everyone's time today.
All right, well, I have a lot of questions. Outside of enabling discrimination, what would be the purpose of listing people's transgender status on IDs? I can't see any other purpose than discrimination. Trans people account for 0.29% of our entire Iowa population. Somebody said this is an important bill. I can think of a million other things we should be doing besides going after 0.29% of our population. Please do not applaud. I just want to get through this. How does this align with HIPAA? I could ask, could Molly ask some questions? She said she'd be glad to answer.
Could you repeat the question, Representative?
Yes. How does this align with HIPAA? Privacy of personal information, medical information?
Sure. As I referenced, the part of this bill, right, just requires a sex pursuant to their definition of biological sex to be listed on their government-issued driver's licenses and birth certificates.
All right. So you're asking for personal medical information to be listed on a driver's license. So if they get pulled over for something, a policeman will immediately see they're trans, right? Correct?
The birth certificates and driver's licenses would list the person's sex pursuant to the definition of that person's biological sex.
And I'm not sure that aligns with the HIPAA qualifications. Who was consulted on this bill? I have another question. Who was consulted on this bill? Doctors that deal with trans people? Who was consulted?
Representative, just like the governor and the legislature did with girls' sports, this proposal protects women's spaces and rights afforded them by Iowa law and the Constitution.
Who was consulted writing because I have found legislation in other states, the Women's Bill of Rights, it's just model legislation, it's called, that we're following someone else. Did you question anybody here in Iowa about it? Any trans people?
Representative, just like the governor and the legislature did with girls' sports.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. And I'm wondering which domestic abuse shelters are having problems? And if they're having problems, what kind of problems are they having? I mean, is there any documentation for that? Why is this an education bill? Who are we trying to educate? I think there's some people we need to educate out here about life and non-discrimination and accepting of all people. You know, I'm appalled that the governor would put forth such a discriminatory bill targeting 0.29% of our Iowa population. I think it's a sad day for Iowa. When I first got elected, there was a display out front showing all the things Iowa was first at. We were first at allowing women to be lawyers, first at allowing women to go to college, first to allow Native Americans to own land. The governor held their land in trust for them, not telling anyone. We were the first to desegregate schools, the first to allow gay marriage. What are we doing? What are we doing with this bill? We're going backwards. I'm just appalled.
Representative Bowden?
I look at this a little bit different. I actually am concerned about people's welfare. I want to make sure that, you know, one of the things that we talked about was if there is somebody that's maybe inebriated, they get pulled over, they should be handled in an appropriate way if they were brought in to be incarcerated. I think we should be respectful of that. I think knowing that information as a law enforcement officer would be important to me. I think discussing how we identify that maybe on the driver's license would be respectful. We can have that conversation. I think just, you know, what I hear from the trans community is that they're proud to be trans, and I guess that would be okay to identify it as that and make sure that your birth certificate represents those things. So I just think it's worth more conversation, and I would like to continue the conversation.
Thank you. And in the, I think that we will pass this on to committee and have further conversation, and you can bring up a lot of your concerns there and get some other questions answered. So I appreciate everybody's time. And with that, the meeting is adjourned.